My tan's getting us all smudged here.
Yo, MC Starman with, hello, Diana Robinson, and we're smudging away. Here's for you too, and for us, and it's the Libra,
Taurus, full moon lunar eclipse that we're going to check in today about. Shall we show you where we're at?
Yes, because I'm obviously don't know what I'm doing. Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse, Saturday, October 28th at 1:24 p.m. Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. If you don't know me, or if you are familiar with my work, if you worked with me, you know that phrase very well. Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs.
Yep.
Oh boy, and that's been a popular phrase lately, huh? Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs, and I think this particular full moon, a solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, no, solar eclipse.
Solar eclipse is when the sun's blocked out. Is that true?
Yeah.
So then a lunar eclipse is when, right, the moon's blocked out. So if we show them visually, maybe that'll help us too. This is us in the middle, is the Earth, and then the sun shining its light.
Okay, so it is a lunar
block
eclipse.
Out the light to the moon.
Yeah, so it is a lunar eclipse. Ah, yeah, confusing.
It makes me feel better. I get confused too, but you've been doing this longer.
And so this new moon, full moon, has Mercury-Mars conjunction and Sun in Scorpio. So we talked about that being giving a voice to the need for renewal and then a commitment to this process of renewal that is expressed by the breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. And then we have the moon Jupiter conjunction in Taurus in opposition. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets. Mars, the warrior, Mercury, the communicator, Sun, all in Scorpio. Then the other side, moon, Jupiter, hope and nurturing. So, this is a very powerful tension between Taurus, the need to make everything stable in the world, the safe container, the push for the safe container, and then on the other side, the push for transformation and death and rebirth and renewal and giving a voice to that, Mercury, and then all 5 of those are in an exact square to Pluto, making it really essential that we face the ancestral need to transform. So then breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. Now, understanding that if we experiencing depression, crisis, difficulties, it's a crisis, and a crisis is an opportunity for change. And here we have a great archetypal structure, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, Sun, Moon, in this exact line in a T-square to Pluto. Wow. Intense, huh?
Yeah. Name of the game with Scorpio. But there's this piece too, I was thinking, you're saying change, and this is also in fixed signs, so it might not be the easiest thing to change either. Just being aware of that.
That's a good point. I think the bigger the bigger the breakdown is when we hold on to what is to hold on to what we're used to and not wanting to change. That makes the breakdown that much more difficult. So then maybe learning to let go of all of that. What do we have in the chart that allows us to maybe tune into some energy that can let us go? So Sun, Mercury, Mars conjunction in Scorpio, giving a voice to unconscious content. That's what a crisis is. It's something that wants to become conscious So that encourages the breakdown, and the breakthrough is what that something that was trying to become conscious, when it becomes conscious, then that's the breakthrough. So that's the other side of it. And then the moon conjunct Jupiter in Taurus, that's the need for the safe container. And in T-square with Pluto, what is dying to be reborn in you to a higher octave of expression. And so that's a very powerful T-square. And then we have Venus in a direct opposition in Neptune, triggering the Triad of Transformation. And so we've been talking lots about that Triad of Transformation. Check out the video on that. But I call it sublimation versus embodiment. What is that? Let's flesh that out. Sublimation versus embodiment. That's the relationship between Neptune and Venus. Venus wants to be embodied. It's all about me, is Venus. And both archetypes, Venus and Neptune, are concerned with love. Love, Venus love is my love. Neptune love is Mother Teresa kind of love. It's like transcendent love. It's big love. Big love with a capital L and a capital O and a capital V. And you know, it's like, so how are these two uncomfortable with each other?
Well, it makes me think of the word sublimation. There's this level of like, my love matters only as much as I want or need it to matter to me. But then once I really tune into the bigger cosmic love, how much does that, I can't really stay so attached to that to be able to tune into that.
Well, that's the thing, is they're antithetical with each other, you know. So the personal love versus the universal love, it's very difficult to manage, to love the whole world and to give up on oneself, and to sublimate my needs versus to embody that universal love. How does an embodied universal love express itself?
By loving yourself first, maybe, or remembering to take yourself first.
That's the great lesson of our times, is to learn to value Venus, the goddess, as a universal expression of what is really needed in our collective crisis. To realize that in order for us to change what we're going through as a collective, we need Venus people that embody the more sublime, the more evolved aspect of Venus. So I wanted to, you know, I've been playing with a title for a video on Venus, and to express the two sides of Venus, we have Venus, the slut, and Venus, the priestess. You know, or the whore and the priestess. And so in our times, we want to try to devalue Venusian love to the level of you know, Barbie. And then we have the priestess archetype, which is an embodied universal love. And so then that really, and especially with the Virgo Venus, you know, that would be really super important. And then it engages Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto as well in that grand kite. And so being very mindful of our Venus needs, and we talked about that in the last video, about how Venus in Virgo, you know, doing some prayers as Venus in Virgo, so that we don't forget about our self-care, especially in opposition to Neptune. And then with this huge T-square forming, I think self-care and self-love would be at a premium as the way to navigate a different engagement with the times. Does that make sense?
Definitely, fully. Yeah, in the last video we talked a little bit too about how Mars is the protector of Venus and the protector of the feminine, and And so that everything going on in Scorpio, as we're in Scorpio season here, is really going to be reminding ourselves to, and hopefully Mercury will help, but to protect the Venus aspects and not get lost in the other or in the work, which can happen with the intensity and focus of Scorpio.
Actually, in mythology, Mars and Venus, they become lovers. It doesn't go well because the husband of Venus exposes them, and it becomes quite a scene. But Venus and Mars have a son, and he's called or a daughter, and he's called Harmonia or Harmony. And so then, Venus and Mars, and developing that harmonious relationship between the masculine and the feminine, it's a very big gift that is offered by the Venus Mars. The other thing that we need to focus on is the Mars Mercury conjunction, which happens really shortly after the full moon. And we're going to see 3 conjunctions of Mars and Mercury. So Mercury's passing Mars, and it's going to go, and they're going to move into Sagittarius with the sun. And then Mercury's going to turn retrograde and go and have another conjunction with Mars. And then I'm going to go back again. And then they're going to come into Capricorn together. And then they're going to come into a conjunction with Pluto, traveling together. So that's a preview of coming attraction. That's in January. And so that Mars-Mercury conjunction, pay attention to that. Lots more on it coming up. And then you have some medicines for us.
Yeah. Here, let's quickly reference here and wrap that up. Oh, we went over everything. Wonderful.
Yes, we did.
Great. If you have any questions, fill that up. Let's quickly do the dates first. So these are also alchemical opportunities. A great time to pull out your chart. Notice what's going to be happening in your chart, anything that's going to be aspected. These are potent dates, great times to do ceremony, or great times to do your prayers. So October 28th is the Taurus full moon lunar eclipse. It's going to be at 6 degrees, Scorpio and Taurus. And then on October 30th, we have the first Mercury-Mars conjunction at 12 degrees Scorpio, like my time was just mentioning.
So this is a very key alchemical time, and we're going to have 3 of those. So wherever that falls in your chart, 12 degrees Scorpio, any fixed signs, if any planets you have at 12 degrees of fixed signs. I have Uranus at 12 degrees of Leo. So then Mercury, Mars will be in square to my Uranus. So I want to pay attention to that.
Oh, that'll be square my Mars then. Huh? This will be interesting.
And then November 3rd, Venus opposes Neptune in the Triad. So, and that's Venus at what degree? That's going to be around 26 degrees of Pisces, Virgo. I just happen to have my Venus at 26 degrees. So that's going to be very significant for me, for sure. Then November 4th, Saturn stations direct, turns back, stops at 0 degrees Pisces and turns back to move through Pisces. Major shift, also very significant for me. It's going to be the 3rd pass of Saturn over my sun, and 3rd pass of Saturn over your Saturn.
January. Here we go.
And also on November 4th, Mercury Uranus opposition. So take advantage of these important dates and do some prayers and rituals to invite the best possible outcomes or the best possible integration of these meaningful archetypal opportunities.
I love how you worded that. Yes. All right. Well, bringing it into our body and grounding it out. Scorpio season is here. And so Scorpio in the body governs our reproductive system. And then on a cellular level, it's our ability to regenerate and regenerative systems in the body. So the tissue salts, that's tissue salt number 3, calsulf or calcium sulfate. Calcium bringing that energy and being a main key element of our body, but then sulfur being the part that allows things to die and transform. So the salt function helps do things like draw out contaminations out of the cells or out of the body in general. It's known as the blood cleanser, and it's great if you're seeing signs of maybe having toxicity in the blood. So that could look like septic states at an extreme, or it could be things like boils, infections in the skin, acne, abscesses, herpes, pimples, cradle cap, all signs that there's a lot of infection and things that need to get out of the blood that the body's trying to push out. And so the sulfur helps that. To get this tissue salt naturally, you could increase these foods in your diet, like almonds, cucumbers, cauliflower leeks, onions, turnips, and Brussels sprouts. So especially the leeks, onions, and the cruciferous vegetables are really high in sulfur-based compounds that help to heal the liver and push things out of the system that don't serve. And then on a herbal level, Scorpio rules those same kind of herbs that are good for cleansing and antiseptics again. So again, pushing those things out of the body, often via the bladder and the intestines, and then the skin, depending on which avenue that contaminant can leave best. So foods and herbs that help to do that are blackberry leaves, blessed thistle, horseradish, flax, leeks, wormwood, and sarsaparilla. Really wonderful tonifying blood purifiers. This time of year, as it gets darker and wet and moist, depending where you are, we're on the West Coast, so things get pretty wet and moist around that time and stagnant and damp. It's really good to make sure you're getting that chi moving through your system and pushing out anything that's building up that's not serving. Because it's a Taurus full moon, I take a quick glance at the Taurus part of our body. So Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the thyroid, and the lymph system. Again, it's about getting things moving and making sure there's an elimination process. It's a little bit more just on the water pathways though. So the tissue salt associated with Taurus is nat sulf, or cell salt number 11, sodium sulfate. So sodium being another key element of our body, and then again working on the sulfur components of our system, so pushing out, but sodium being an affinity for water, keeping it in the cleaning up the water of our body. If you do have some deficiencies of this cell salt in the body, you can see systems go a little out of balance with showing up like gout, muscle pain, and joint pain, and also digestive imbalances. Also swollen lymph glands, which isn't there, but is really important to watch for. This cell salt is found in lentils, spinach, peppers, paprika, pumpkins, celery, leeks, and spring onions, which aren't always easy to get at this time of year, depending where you live, but if you can, they're a great way to supplement and support this part of your body. And then the herbs that help Taurus balance out are sage, thyme, plantain, goldenrod, cleavers, and black walnut. Cleavers, I think, are probably one of the most incredible, best herbs for the Taurus Scorpio axis, because they really help to tone and push out anything that's in excess. So really having an affinity for the lymph system, but also really beneficial for Scorpio, because the Scorpio energy can have a hard time letting go. And cleavers are really good at helping one to let go, whether that's physically, impurities, or mentally with certain thought processes, or maybe even emotionally if you're stuck in emotional patterns. So cleavers, I'd really say give it a shot if you're having a hard time switching gears or letting something go with all that Scorpio influence.
That was beautiful. Thank you. So I think that this is a really good reminder for all of us to be attentive to what is seeking to be born out of these dark times. How the breakdowns that we're experiencing are actually birthing pains of the new me that I'm trying to give birth to. And so in confronting crisis, it is good to know, to look at it objectively and creatively, to know that and to celebrate these times of transformation, because a powerful eclipse like that right before Halloween is going to bring about lots of opportunity to celebrate the Day of the Dead. Like they say, the king is dead, long live the king. So in that sense, this is a powerful opportunity to break through in your higher self and to let go of the things you're seeking to get rid of and I think that through these eclipses and through this change of season and through what we've been through this year, it's becoming really clear what it is that I want to let go of. And so it's not always easy though to let go, is it?
No.
Mm,
Check it out.
Check it out, pray it out,
Draw it out.
ritual it out, engage with it, give it a voice creatively. It's been an honor, as always, to share this astrological, psychological perspective with you. Thank you so much, Diana, for joining me, as always. We're going on 2 years of doing these things together.
Yeah, coming up. Wow.
And then any minute now, we're going to reach 1,000 subscribers.
Woohoo.
So if you haven't already subscribed, please press the subscribe button. And do comments, like all of those things. They massage the algorithms. We'll catch you next time. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Bye for now. Happy Halloween.